guys. Welcome once again. Nice to have everybody with us for this wrap-up session and weekly webinar. We're going to talk about a lot of setups that I see coming for the week, and I think we've got some pretty good setups in the works. Let's get right down to it. A couple of things that I want to talk about briefly before we get started is we've got a bit of a new members website, and that is kind of fantastic, hopefully anyways. So what we're doing here on the new website, and there we go. Okay, here's a new website. Members will have all the same stuff. You can see that if you go to the website, daytradersfx.com, all the good stuff. About will tell you a little bit about how to get involved. The members section still has all the members stuff, wrap up, video tutorials, log into the chat, daily videos, webinars, and trades. So this goes for anybody that does want a free trial and maybe gets involved in the group as well. A lot of people say, I don't have time to trade, or I don't have a good schedule for this kind of market. And I do post everything in the website. Now, all the notes, the recording of these wrap-up sessions, which I do, we do Monday through Thursday, are all posted in the website as well. So these can all be accessed 24 hours a day. So even if you're not available during our trade times, you can definitely get a lot of the material right from the members area here. So once again, members will just go to the login area, and then you'll be able to see this. You won't see this drop down menu when you're not logged in. So this is members only stuff. Once you are logged in, you'll see that, contact, all that stuff. Here's some of the details showing getting some trials to the trade group, our weekly webinars, so on. Some of the details there, and then the bottom is just some blog stuff. The website is still under a bit of construction, so it's got a bit to go, but have a look around, peek around, see if you have any questions about anything, and a lot of new material and content and so on is going there. So, excuse me, so we will see how that plays out over the next little bit. Okay, so let's get right into it. Timetables are all screwed up all over the world because we're starting to go into daylight savings. The US and Canada have finally done it, or going out of daylight savings. I don't know which one's which. So schedules are going to be all weird for a little while. It takes me about 3 months to get used to a 1 hour time difference. It's ridiculous. So anyways, we've done that, but going into later on today, we have got some pretty big news coming up actually. We've already seen a little bit of news out of the UK, and then we've got interest rates from Australia, and that's coming in about 4.5 hours or so. That's going to be a pretty big deal. So any Aussie trades that we talk about, keep in mind that that's big and that's coming up. As far as other news goes, going into Tuesday, we've got quite a few things. Some employment numbers for New Zealand, trade balance for Australia, ISM for the US, PMI for the UK, so some good stuff there. Wednesday is a lot of Canadian numbers and Australian numbers with the employment going on there, so that's going to be a pretty big deal. That'll be worth keeping an eye on for sure. Thursday, we have more big news. We have interest rates from the UK. We have interest rates and press conference from Europe. I mean, good grief, we have some big things, which is good and exciting, and it's also, we're going to have to be careful. Just day to day, we have such big news coming just about every day. And then going into Friday, we have non-farm payroll, which is going to be a pretty big deal. And then Bernanke will be speaking on Friday as well. So expect Friday to be a pretty volatile day. So overall, there's just big news every single day. So we'll just be ready for all of it. Okay, so let's get down to euro dollar and kind of what's happening here and what's been going on and some things we're looking at. Euro dollar has really been took a huge hit. It's done nothing for quite a while. We had this nice little move up, and then it consolidated for a week, and then over about a 2-day period, really all the movement happened Thursday and then a little bit more on Friday. The euro dollar just moved down. I mean, from its high to low was quite a bit, but just from that 2-day movement there was 200 and almost 50 pips, so a pretty big movement. Now, what is coming next on the euro dollar? That's the big question, and what we have coming up here is going to be a series of probably bits of retracement and some correction here. You can see that our new daily candle has just started. The euro dollar has been bumping around this channel for months now, 1, 2, 3, 4 months, and it's right back down to the bottom of that channel, back down into the lows of October and some of the lows of that little retracement in the last part of September. But it's really working its way down into some of these major support levels. These are all huge areas. We had a low of 134.40. And we know that 134.60 and 80 were big levels, and we weren't able to close below those on this pair. And now we have this big pin bar on the daily chart. Now I'm going to make no qualms about the fact that I'm looking to sell all rallies on euro dollar, looking to sell the heck out of the rallies on the euro dollar, but I think it's got to rally a bit, and I think it's going to. This is a strong candle. That was a huge move down, and this is a strong candle that is going to cause some amount of retracement. And so I'm looking for this to ultimately produce some nice little pullbacks, and I think we'll get some good activity out of that. First of all, we have a missed weekly pivot that's up here sitting around 135.70, and we've got some fib levels that we're going to be looking for. So let's get ready for that. Nice hammer here on this 1 hour chart, and a very nice one on the daily chart as well. This is starting to move up. We can see that oh, this is why my charts haven't moved. So now I will have my own pivot levels. This is crazy. I didn't even notice that. Tom, we're gonna have to join forces on the pivots here. Let's see where mine is now. 134.93, and you gave me 134.93. Perfect. Okay, excellent. We got the same levels. Okay, so euro dollar, I'm looking for a couple of things to happen here. We've seen a big move down, and typically we'd be looking for something like this to go on, maybe a little bearish type flag or something. And we might get that, but I honestly think I'm not going to be looking to short the euro dollar just yet. I'm actually looking for the euro dollar to make its way above this 23% fib, which is around 135.30, well, about 135.35. And I'm going to be looking to short the euro dollar around 136.50 area. So I need to see this thing bounce up about 120 or 30 pips up into this 136.40.50 area. You can see it about 136.40 right now. We have the 50% fib of this recent rundown. So this recent move here, which has been a pretty sharp one. We've got about 136.40 is that fib level, 50% fib. We've got the 200 moving average. That'll put us right into about WR1. A lot of resistance there, a lot of levels. We've got a daily pivot we got to take out. We've got a weekly pivot we've got to take out. But remember, we do ultimately have some missed weekly pivots back here. We still have this guy that's sitting back here mid-September. With a nice gap that is remaining unfilled so far, and this weekly pivot's around 133.15, so that still gives us 200 pips from current market price, and I think we're going to get a nice little move up into this 50% fib at least. Once again, I'm looking for 136.50 ultimately to start shorting the euro dollar and taking it down into that 133.00 and beyond. So I think that's going to be a good little area to be following and looking for. And shorting in the meantime. So for those that are wondering what can we do right now for the euro dollar, let's look for some opens and let's get above this 23% fib and watch for some retracement. We're going to get that. It's just going to happen that way. So as soon as we get above this 135.35 area, look for some pullback. That's going to put us 135.35 puts us about 90 pips from the bottom. So let that run up and then dip back down just a little bit. And let's look for entries to get long euro dollar around 135.00 probably. And with stops down below these lows, that still puts us a bit of a distance away. But let's kind of just watch price action and see how things go. I will continue to update this situation here. But again, above 135.35, I'm looking for a bit of a pullback down into about 135.00 where I can get long and target at least 135.90. So it seems like we could potentially have some big stops if we get in at 135.00. That puts us at about 60 pips, but that still gives us a profit target of about 90 pips. So still pretty good risk to reward ratio. So that's what I'm looking for on there. So definitely looking to get long against this low. It's a very strong candle on the 1 hour, the 4 hour, and the daily chart. So I think that's going to be a great opportunity to start getting long against these lows. And again, I think we have a minimum target of 135.90 minimum, and a very likely target of 136.50 on the euro dollar. At which point I will be looking for opportunities to short. So I'm not at the point yet where I'm ready to put a pending order on 136.50 to short, but I am at the point where I would put a pending order to get long euro dollar down around 135.00, maybe even a little bit below after it crosses that 23% fib. So that's kind of the key there. We've got to remember we've got to cross that 23% fib before we start putting pending orders to get long this pair against the low. So that's euro dollar. Anybody have any questions? Any questions about that? That's what we're looking for in the euro dollar. Questions, comments, let me know. So looking to short the rally, absolutely, absolutely. Pound dollar has given us kind of an interesting situation. Not quite the hammer that we saw in the euro dollar, but a very strong bullish candle on this daily chart. We can see that we broke out of this. We have a very nice big double top in the euro dollar. We broke out of the trend line and we came down to kind of a double bottom, which is the low of October. And we're kind of just hopping around there, and we've had a huge rejection off of that and a nice move back up. I am still very, very bearish pound dollar, and I think we have a great opportunity to sell the rally against this double top and against this high. We still have, remember, on the pound dollar, we still have some missed weekly pivots back here. We have one that sits at about 158.60 area, so that's obviously not super far away. It's about 100 pips away. And then we have another one that's back here around 156.15. So we've got some pretty nice little targets to be aiming for on the downside. But we're definitely bouncing off this low, but against this major large double top here. Now remember, last time we bounced off this low, there was the 200 moving average, and we came back up double topped. Now we've broken this trend line, and we've gotten well below the 200 moving average on that 4-hour chart. So again, I'm looking for this kind of a movement here to happen. I'm going to watch these fib levels, and I'm going to look for some moves up into really up into, again, about that 50% fib, which is around 160.75 area. So again, I'd like to see about 100 pips of upward movement before I start looking for opportunities to short the pound dollar. If for some reason the pound dollar does not make it up there and it just starts heading right back down, then I'm going to be looking for this kind of a thing to happen. We've got a nice little, we're working on a bit of a bear flag. It's not the best one I've ever seen, and it's got a lot of retracement to it, but I'm going to be watching this guy, and if we just maybe hop up here and are unable to get above that 23% fib and maybe just tap that weekly pivot and start breaking back below this ascending trend line right here, then I'm going to be shorting the pound dollar at the break of that, targeting the lows here, which give us probably a 50 pip profit target on the pound dollar. So let's watch this little bearish flag right here, and let's look for that break and that move down into that lower area, and we'll see. We'll just kind of see where things see where things go and how they play out coming up here. So that's what I'm looking for. So again, I'd like to get short around 160.75, and that is something that we'll place a pending order on as we go. But for the moment, I'm going to be watching for the bear flag breakout and an opportunity to short the pound dollar. This feels like a bit of a squeeze right now. The euro dollar feels like a nice big squeeze. This is going to squeeze all those shorts out and give us a better opportunity to get short at a higher price. And it feels like a good squeeze on the pound dollar as well. So watch all of these pairs move up just enough to get everyone out before they start heading right back down again. David, is that? Yeah, so on the pound dollar, are you talking about the pound dollar daily chart, David? Because this is not much of a that's not a pin bar really at all. That's just a bullish candle bouncing. So pin bars, we like to see a lot of fake outs, a lot of ugly stuff happening. More this kind of stuff right here, where we have a nice little hammer setup. This is just a lot of buyers off that support. Looks like we had some good bargain shoppers at the lower price. Yeah, with that little doji next to it as well, or inverted hammer, whatever that was. I think, yeah, little small kind of gravestone doji right there. Yeah, that doesn't make for much of a pin bar. Just a nice bounce off that support there. So let's watch this little bearish setup, possible bearish flag setup on the pound dollar. Otherwise, let's look for opportunities to get in this pair around 160.75 and start shorting down to some of those bigger levels. The Aussie dollar has made some moves as well. We had some pretty nice moves down on Aussie dollar, and then it has hit this just above 94.20 or so, and it's bouncing off that, making a pretty nice little run. Remember, the Aussie dollar ran all the way up here nicely, came down and just tapped that 38% fib and is bumping back up again. Now, the Aussie dollar, one more thing to keep in mind here is that we have got a we've got a nice little setup on the Aussie dollar to probably move number one down into this missed weekly pivot, which is all the way back here at 91.35, and to trade down to that zone. That's kind of my ultimate target, but I think we need to get up a little bit closer to this high. Now, a lot of it's going to depend on what is said later on tonight at the central bank, the RBA statement, the Australian interest rate announcement, and so on. So a lot's going to depend on that. But we have this huge price rejection, huge pin bar at the top, big run down, and then we've just consolidated along the 200 moving average, and now it's heading right back up again. And so I think this is going to give us some very nice opportunities to short some of these moves up. Now, it's been a pretty choppy run down. What I'm going to be looking for here ultimately is again looking for this to get up to that 38% fib. You can see that our 38's up here. We've crossed the 23 a bunch of times. We're consolidating at the 200 moving average. This thing's probably going to break that 23%, or excuse me, it's already above the 23% fib, but it's probably going to start breaking these resistance levels pretty quick and moving into that 38, which gives us, you know, again, only about a 30 or 40 pip run, but I think there's a good run up on that one moving into some of these areas here. So I think that's a great spot to be focused on and looking for and trading towards. So if anybody's long Aussie dollar, should be a great spot to trade up into that 95.50 area, and then from there I'm going to be looking for opportunities to get short, probably just below 9600. So just below 9600 I'll be looking to get short Aussie dollar most likely, but it's going to depend. The Aussie dollar is really going to depend as we go into the interest rate announcements and kind of how everything goes there. So just keep that in mind. Probably no trades on this one, definitely until after the interest rate news comes out later tonight, but there's going to be some good stuff in the works there, so keep our eye on that. Aussie yen, I don't know what I think on this pair except for the fact that it's broken out of this channel and it's coming right back up to kind of test the bottom of that ascending trend line, so I'm going to keep an eye on that and see where that goes. We've got a nice little ascending channel here as well that's pretty sharp, so we'll see how things play out on that. But lots of consolidation. Most of these pairs haven't moved too terribly much, except for the Aussie dollar. Made a nice little move up right at the beginning, but then they've had several hours of consolidation. So daily pivots aren't too much of a factor, and so again, this Aussie yen's pretty choppy. I'm not doing anything on that one, especially with interest rate news coming out. Pound yen, on the other hand, is getting kind of interesting. The pound yen's really range bound in this general area. I don't have any super exciting trade entries on this one just yet, but just know that I will keep my eye on this ascending channel right here, and if we break out of that ascending channel, I'll be looking to get short. There's, you know, again, it's kind of a messy, it was almost a double bottom right here, and that was good-ish. So I'm watching this little ascending consolidation choppiness that's bumping against the 200 moving average, and we'll see if this works its way back down. Almost looks like it's giving us a little bit of a, you know, almost a head and shoulders pattern here. But it's hard to tell. So yen pairs are looking tricky. Aussie yen and pound yen, I'm not loving so much. However, I do like the euro yen quite a bit. The euro yen's super interesting for a couple of reasons. Number one, we had this nice move down right here, very nice move down, along with the euro dollar. Euro yen, euro dollar pairs moved down a ton over about a 24-hour period, really. And the euro yen has come down and just bounced right on this ascending trend line that I haven't moved for at least 2 months probably, and it's just bounced on that, and you can see that right there, some nice little price rejection off that area, nice little move. But now here's what the euro yen's probably going to be doing. It's forming a perfect bear flag. It's very textbook, nothing too exciting about this. But here's what I think it'll probably do. The euro yen's bounced down, and from this little range right here, it's already crossed the 23% fib like a lot. And so it's crossed that 23% fib. I think we're going to get a pretty easy run up into that 38% fib, which is around 133.65.70 area. From there, I'm going to be looking to either get short around 133.70, but most likely I would hold off and just see if we can get up to 134.00 and just take out this missed daily pivot point, hit that 200 moving average, hit the 50% fib. If we can get up to that general area there, I'm definitely short euro yen. Definitely short euro yen. Otherwise, I'm just going to let that kind of run its way up. You know, again, there's probably a nice trade to be had at the break of this 133.40 area. Really gets us, you know, out of that 23% fib, gives us a, you know, a quick, easy little 25, 30 pips into that 38. But ultimately, I'd like to just wait and either get short at 134.00 or get short at the break of this ascending trend line right here. Either one of those sound good and good to me. But I really do think that this is going to make a run up before it makes, before this bear flag plays out. And I think the bear flag will play out great. But I'm going to be patient and wait for it to get up into that 134.00 area, or just wait for this break of this ascending trend line to enter this one, trade at least towards the lows, which is a nice little 45 pip run. But I think this could go quite far if it does break, and we could get down into some of the next support levels that are quite a ways down there, about 150, 175 pips. So that's what I'm looking for on Euro Yen, and I think there's a pretty good opportunity of that happening. So watch that bear flag, be ready for that. Gold, real quick, nice little bear flag as well. Let's keep an eye on gold and see where this guy goes. But so far, we've got a nice little run right there, nice little run, and it's consolidating up, and I'm just looking for that to break and continue down. You can see it's a pretty good setup right there. So any gold traders, look to get short at the break, or look to get short up around this 1226, 1227 area. But ultimately, I'd like to short the break of this ascending trend line and this bear flag. Real quick, dollar CAD. I'm not super duper interested in this one that much yet, but I am looking for opportunities to get back into this one long. Now we got to make sure, we got to be careful this isn't creating a head and shoulders pattern for us up here. We'll keep an eye on that, but I don't have any immediate entries just yet. But I am looking ultimately, if the markets look right, to get long dollar CAD coming up. Quick little look at Euro Pound. We've got a nice little bear flag playing out as well, so I think we could see some continued euro weakness coming up, and you can see that this is just playing out absolutely textbook perfect from this area here. We might get a little spike up to test that 38% fib and the weekly pivot point and the 200 moving average, but ultimately let's look at getting short at the break of this bear flag on the Euro Pound. So it's a really nice setup. I like this one a lot. Euro Aussie has a pretty nice setup as well. There's again a nice little bear flag in the works. We've got a huge missed weekly pivot already. There's tons of resistance up here, and that's like 120 pips away. So I'm going to be a little cautious with this one. It's a nice bear flag, but I'm still just I'm a little bit antsy about this whole situation. But remember, what we're ultimately looking for on the Euro Aussie is the fact that we've had this huge run up, and now it's double topped and it's pulled back nicely below the 23% fib, and we know that there's such a great chance that this thing's going to hit the 38% fib, which is around 139.50. 200 moving average, 38% fibs right there, everything's right there, and that's still 250 pips below current market price. So I'm targeting that ultimately, and then looking for the bigger play, which is kind of a we kind of have a pennant forming really right here if you kind of look more at it like that on the Euro Aussie. And so I think this will ultimately be making its way back up, but I think we've got another 250 pip run down on Euro Aussie. So so the bear flag could be a nice little move there, but ultimately I'd like to get short around 143.25 area, 143.50, right in that general, right in this general area right here. 143.25 would be a good spot to get short at this point, but we need a little bit of retracement before I get into this thing. So I'm probably not going to trade the typical bear flag breakout on this, especially with Aussie news coming up. Euro New Zealand's moving. Watch the Euro CAD. This is not one that I like to trade too terribly much, but watch this Euro CAD. It's made a nice little run down. If we cross that 23% fib, we're probably headed up into the 50 and into the 200 moving average, which is around 142.15. So I'm really looking for the first part of the week on almost all of these pairs to give us 100 plus pips of retracement to the upside before we start looking for shorts and opportunities to take these pairs back down again. So looking to short that one, just kind of looking to short everything really after it runs up a little bit. Last but not least, dollar yen. We have a nice bull flag on the dollar yen, looking for this to kind of work its way down, probably test that weekly pivot, and I'd like to get long somewhere around that weekly pivot. but ultimately I will get long at the break of this bull flag. But again, I may be looking for some opportunities on that weekly pivot point to get long, and I think that could be a really nice opportunity. And it's only 12 pips away from that right now, so that should be an easy run down. But watch for the safe bet will be trade the break of the bull flag right here. The riskier bet will be buy the dip and get long at the weekly pivot point area here and trade it up from there. So I'll let you guys decide on what you want to do on that one. But these are all some really great setups. We have some really good things in the works, and I am pretty excited about what we have coming up this week. Tons and tons and tons of news. So we'll be here to just attack the news. I'm going to update the notes. I'll post this recording, and I'm here to answer any questions that any of you might have coming up. So let me see what's going on here. Yes, we do have Aussie interest rates, 8:30 p.m. chat time. 8:30 p.m. chat time. Yep, absolutely. Okay, guys, I'm going to stop this recording and get it posted. And questions, comments, send them right on over.